Hi everybody, welcome to the channel. This is Rob. Today we're going to be doing a super interesting video, you guys, and this is a video that's going to help you in case you are wondering what are the best, or what do I think are the best historical decks out there. So many of you know, you guys, that I have hundreds of decks in the collection, and I have the historical side of the collection, right? And the historical side of the collection also has many decks in it. I would say about 40 to 50 historical decks. In this video, I have chosen 10 decks that I think are my favorites, or these are the decks that I would recommend to anybody that is looking for historical tarot decks to add to their collection. It was a really hard video to make because I have, like I said, 30 to 40 historical decks, and summing them up to 10 only was very difficult because I like all of my historical decks. But this is a list from 10 to 1. And so let's go through those decks. This video is going to help you narrow those down. This video is going to show you what historical decks are definitely worth having in your collection, from which publishers these decks are from, and the ones that I recommend. And cardstock, of course, artwork. We'll go over everything. I'll give you a little bit overview of when the decks were made and the creator of those decks, you guys. So let's get started. And the first deck on the list is the Mantegna Tarot. This one in particular is from Il Meneghello. You will find that there's a lot of publishing houses that put copies of these decks out. I personally like Il Meneghello for a lot of my historical decks. It's one of my favorite publishers. They are located in Italy, and they make absolutely gorgeous decks. They feel like they're really old. They put a lot of effort into them, and I'm very thankful for Il Meneghello actually for existing and still making cards like this, because there's not a lot of people making cards like this anymore. And this is a set of 50 cards. It is from the Renaissance era in Italy. It was created in the year around 1465 to 1475, you guys. Beautiful deck. And these are the cards, you guys. They are absolutely gorgeous. This is the authenticity card, and it's number 197 out of 1000, Milano, Italy, from Il Meneghello. And look at these drawings, beautiful. Now cardstock is really robust. It's that cardboard sort of feeling to it. It is just perfect for this sort of historical deck, if you ask me. And so really old looking drawings. This is not your typical RWS deck, as you can see. The pictures are in black and white, and it's very old looking. I would have to say that this is one of my oldest antique or historical decks in the collection, as you can see. So it has a different format to it. I don't do readings with this deck. I use it for contemplation. It's part of my historical part of the collection, and so I use it for contemplation. I use it for educational purposes and to see how the evolution of tarot has come along. And so that's what this deck I use it for. The back of the card is sort of blank. There's nothing on it, and they are larger size, you guys. So if you compare it to another Il Meneghello, for example, you'll see that these are much larger. Really intriguing pictures. It gives you a complete overview of where has tarot come from, how has tarot been able to evolve through the centuries and through the time. And so it's super interesting, super beautiful. I actually keep this deck out sort of on one of my tables in the living room so that people can see it. Not for touching or anything like that, but you know, the box is so beautiful. I keep it out there sort of as an interesting and talking piece. And so beautiful deck, you guys. Absolutely gorgeous. If you are thinking of what decks you should get for your historical collection, this is definitely one of those. And you need to look to see if some of these decks are still being printed by Il Meneghello, or if they are not being printed anymore, then you're just going to have to buy it from somebody that already has it. And that can be expensive, of course. Or another option is to maybe wait or write to Il Meneghello and ask them if they're thinking of doing this deck again. So those are some of the options that you have. And with that being said, you guys, let me show you the next deck on the list. Deck number 9, you guys. This is from Il Meneghello. This is Tarocco di Besancon. And you might have seen this deck being produced by other publishing houses. Scarabeo has definitely done a copy of it. I'm not sure if US Game Systems has done a copy of it, but this one is from Il Meneghello, and they have done and reproduced this deck to actual perfection. This is one of my favorite decks in the collection. It is absolutely beautiful. It is from the 18th century, and let me show you what this deck looks like. Now, this is the same box that you are probably familiar with, or if you're not, these are the boxes that Il Meneghello puts out, you guys. And so hardcover boxes, really, really nice boxes. Inside of the box, you are going to get a little note that says this item is created by hand. Any imperfections or variations are due to its workmanship and are not to be considered as defects. And so that is a really important little piece of information there. And they put it in all of their decks, by the way, so that you know. Here is a pretty good information piece about this deck. And I recommend that if you're interested, you pause your device and you look at that or read that information. So, and this one is by Alberto Milano, December 1985, as you can see. And so very, very interesting deck. I absolutely love this deck. I read with this deck. It's sort of a Marseille style deck. So if you're familiar with the Marseille, then this will be a very good match for you. Tarocco di Besancon. And here, this one is number 86 out of 2000, you guys. Once again, I'm not sure if this deck is still being produced by Il Meneghello. I believe so. I go into their website often and I like to check what they have. And so this one is this is the card of authenticity. This one is number 86 out of 2000. And you guys, like many of these decks, you can check on the Il Meneghello website to see if these decks are still being produced. A lot of the times they stop and then they produce them again, and it's just hit or miss. With this one in particular, I still think that they are producing this, but I'm not sure. I think this is one of their best-selling decks, so maybe they're producing it, maybe they're not. This is the cards, you guys, or these are the cards, and these are absolutely gorgeous. This paper stock is absolutely heavenly. This is the back of the card, and they're pretty much normal size. I would say they're a bit smaller than your normal size, but it's a complete deck, and the artwork in here is gorgeous. So like a good Marseille deck, this is a peep deck, but it is just beautiful. It looks like it looks old. It looks like if you're just really holding the real copy. And so that's what makes this deck really, really special. Also, the colors on the deck are just beautiful. The drawings. I mean, this is if you ask me, this is one of those historical decks that I think everybody should have in their collection. This is the Valet de Bastons. This is the King of Cups. Here you have the Emperor, number 4 of the Major Arcana, as you all know. Here's the Three of Swords. Here's the Cavalier de Coupe. Here is the Valet de Coupe. Here's the World card. Look how beautiful that is, right? And the paper stock and the way that they have done the printing just gives you that really old feeling to it. And so it's really a beautiful deck. It just, like I said, one of those decks that if you are collecting historical decks, and if you believe that historical decks should be part of your collection, this is definitely one of those decks that I suggest that must be in there. This is the Queen of Swords. This is the Queen of Cups. And what they have done is they have recreated the deck in such a way that even if there were spots or stains on the real cards, they have reproduced that here with this reproduction. So really special. See, you see here, it looks like that was a big stain, and so they reproduced it the same way. Like I said, Il Meneghello is just an amazing publisher out there. I'm so thankful to Il Meneghello for the products that they bring out, and I'm a big fan of Il Meneghello. And so not only do they have old historical decks, by the way, sometimes they'll put out decks from the 80s, the 70s, even the 60s, or some of them can also be newer decks. And so, but what they're really known for is their old historical reproduction decks. And so this is the Death card, and so this is beautiful, you guys. Like I just said, I do use this deck for divination. Shuffling this deck is a delight. I really enjoy shuffling this deck. These cards have enough weight that it just makes for very easy and wonderful, luxurious shuffling. Doing a spread with this deck also works really, really beautiful, you guys. This is the Tarocchi di Besancon, and it is just a gem. This deck is a gem. Look at that moon card. Isn't that gorgeous? And so if you're thinking of maybe getting a historical deck, this is one that you may want to consider. This is the Hanged Man, as you can see, and it is just really an interesting, educational, and super well crafted deck for any collection. And with that being said, you guys, let me show you what the next deck is. Tarot number 8 is the Tarocchi Francesi. This one was created in the 17th century. I bought this deck also through the Museo Internazionale dei Tarocchi in Italy, and they sent it to me. I was looking on their webpage the other day, and I saw that they still have this deck available. So if you're interested, you can go in there and you can look more into it. Once again, not an inexpensive deck, but definitely a beautiful deck to look into. Let me show you this deck. Let me show you what's inside of this beautiful box. It is your traditional 78 cards, including the 22 major arcana and the set of 56 minor arcana. You guys, like many of these decks, this one is also numbered. This one was 300 copies, and I got copy number 25. This one comes with a bag here that I never really used. This one was binding the cards, and so like I said, I usually never throw anything away, so I've kept it all in here. And these are the cards. Beautiful paper stock once again, you guys. You know, it's just that art sort of cotton with a mix of a linen luxury cardstock, really. The cardstock that you find a lot of paintings and a lot of drawings are made on. This is that sort of cardstock that you see here. These are a little bit larger, not a little bit, but you know, larger than your regular size card, as you can see here. They do have this beautiful border here that looks just amazing when you ask me. The colors are sort of earth tone colors, and I don't, once again, use this deck for divination. Here here's the back of the card, by the way, and they are totally reversible. Though, however, I have seen people use this deck before. And so if you're interested in using this deck, you can use it because it has a system that would be friendly for reading. And so let me show you what some of these cards look like because they are really, really beautiful. This is the Seven of Cups. This is the King of Coins. This is the Valet of Coins. This is the Five of Cups. This is the Chevalier of Cups. This is the Three of Swords. Just intriguing, you guys. I think they've done a beautiful job with the reproduction of this deck. I think they did a really great job with the printing of this deck. This is the King of Wands. And up here you can see the numbers, and so it gives you a reference of which card this is. This one is the Fool. So once again, you can really use this deck for divination, and I've used it once or twice for divination, but I'm so careful with these decks. You know, not only did they cost me a good amount of money, but they also are numbered copies. So I try to be as careful as I can with them, and I try to enjoy them, meaning I take them out and I look at them and I feel them, and I just, you know, sort of have a nice time with these decks where I just enjoy the deck and the cardstock and the colors and the drawings and all of that. This is La Lune, or the moon, as you can see. And, you know, and it's that theme again of how decks and how oracle and tarot decks have evolved through the ages. And so this is what I find so interesting. You know, not only do we get to see what artists today are doing with the major and minor arcana, but we get to see what how artists back then used to see these decks. And of course, a lot of these decks started as playing cards, right? They weren't really to do divination or anything like that. They started as playing cards, and then it sort of evolved to a divination sort of a practice. And that is the Tarocchi Francesi, everybody. I wanted to really share this deck, and once again, really hard to make this list because I have many historical decks, so I had to pick only 10. And as I said at the beginning of the video, I have a surprise for you at the end, which I just could not skip. This is La Mort, or the Death card. And so stick till the end because I'm going to show you what that surprise is. You guys, let me show you what deck number 7 is. Deck number 7 is the Visconti di Modrone Tarot. This one is by Lo Scarabeo. This is one of the museum quality. This is one of their museum quality copies. This deck was, or the Visconti di Modrone, was created in Milan, Italy from 1442 to 1447, the tarot deck of the Renaissance courts. And this one was restored by Mattia di Auge. Now, this Visconti di Modrone you can find by many publishing houses. I chose to have this one by Lo Scarabeo. I looked at all of the other ones, and I found that this one was the absolute most beautiful one. They have two of them. They have the bigger cards and they have the smaller cards. I have both of them. I'm going to show you today the smaller card one. It's the one that I have here. This is what the back of the box looks like and how it reads. The 89 triumphs of the ancient Visconti di Modrone Tarot have been digitally restored with the original gold and silver engravings. So it gives you some of the cards here. It's not, you know, for what you get here for this deck, it's very affordable. I think I paid about $45 or $50 for this deck. That's not with shipping included, but and these decks come in two different sizes. They have a smaller card and they have a bigger card set. You guys, this box opens up like this. You get, of course, a book in here. And if you all know Los Scarabeo, you'll know that these books look like maybe they're thick and there's a lot of information in there. But at the end of the day, there's really not that much information because it comes in different languages. And so although the English part of the book is the longest part of the book, it's not totally complete. And this one comes in English and Italian. So, and it gives you a picture of the card, and it gives you a description of that card. And so you can pause your device and read that if you like. And that's pretty much the book. It's really nice. They did a really nice job with the printing. This is that rose petal feeling here that you get with that book. And once again, this box opens up like this. And then you can take the cards out with a piece of cloth here. And this is what the inside of the box looks like. And I'm going to have to take the box away because these cards are huge. So as you can see, they're not gilded. I think it would have been a really nice touch to have gilded these cards, but they chose not to do that. I think a gold would have been perfect with this, but they chose not to do that for whatever reason. And these are the cards, you guys. Let me show you these beautiful cards, at least some of them. They're really gorgeous. I love what they have done here with the colors. I love the gold and foiling in here with the silver as well. They are absolutely gorgeous. This is what the back of the card looks like. And you can do divination with these cards if you like. I don't do divinations with them. They are pretty big and that really doesn't present a problem, but I use them for observation and for historical purposes. You know, the Visconti di Modrone deck also used to be called the Visconti and the Carry Yale. And it's one of 3 surviving hand-painted tarots with Visconti heraldic features. Heraldic features, you guys. Only 11 triumphs, 17 court cards, and 39 numeral cards survive from the ancient deck. And so that makes it totally interesting and are currently held in the collection of the Yale University Library in the US. The digital restoration completed the deck to 89 cards, helping the original size of 189 by 90 millimeters, you guys. Look how beautiful these cards are. Absolutely gorgeous. Love the gold. Love the pinks in there. This is one of my favorite decks when it comes to my historical collection of decks. If you look at the images, I really like the way that they have combined the colors and how they did it. They look elegant. They look like pieces of artwork in your hands, you guys, or on your hands. They're just, to me, these are really beautiful images. And so I can't say anything else. This is really one of those decks that I will take out and I will just admire. Cardstock is really good on this deck as well. Now, I bought the smaller version of this deck as well, and the cardstock is different than this one. So it has a little bit more of a robust feeling as opposed to this one. This one is a little bit more on the thinner side, but nevertheless, it's really good cardstock, and I'm happy with it. These images are really inspirational. They're really images that you can really compare with modern decks today and see how these are different than the other ones. And even though this is a peep deck, you'll see that even the peep cards are interesting and that even the peep cards were really well done and a lot of thought was put into them, you guys. And there is a tremendous amount of history behind this deck, and of course you can go online and you can find out more about the history of this deck, and you will learn more about this. It is a little bit different than your regular RWS. It's a little bit different than the Marseille. It has a little bit of its own language, and so therefore that is one of the reasons why I really don't read or do divination with it, but it's just nevertheless a beautiful deck. This is even one of those decks that you can put on your coffee table, and you can sort of go through it whenever you have time, or whenever you're feeling inspired, or feeling like you're really a tarot geek like I am. So, and this is an edition that Los Scarabeo is still making, so I don't feel so apprehensive about it that other people can touch it or other people can see it, because they still make it. I don't know how long they will make it, so but you know, there is other houses that also make this deck. I think US Games makes it, and I think there is a couple of other publishing companies that make it. I found that the Los Scarabeo one turned out to be my favorite. So that's why I went with this one, and that's why I kept this one. Although I have the other ones too, because of course I needed to have them. But I don't really use the other ones at all. I just always go to this one, you guys. And so that is the Visconti di Modrone Tarot. And I am going to show you which deck number 6 is. Deck number 6 is the Tarocchini Bolognese. And this deck, you guys, was created around 1660. It was also created by Giuseppe Maria Mitelli, and he lived in Bologna, Italy in 1634. And he died in 1718. Beautiful deck. This one is by Il Meneghello. As you can see, they come with a wax stamp from Il Meneghello, and you'll see these boxes from Il Meneghello. They all look alike. These are handmade decks. Il Meneghello is based in Italy. They make handmade decks, and most of their decks are limited edition decks. Some of them are still in print, some of them are not in print, but I love Il Meneghello and I really enjoy their decks. This is what the inside of the box looks like. It's a hardcover box, and here is what's inside of this beautiful box, and what's inside of, and what these cards look like. Once again, this is that note that says that the cards may not be perfect because they are handmade. And these cards are really, really special, if you ask me. It is not your traditional sort of tarot. They've changed some of the names and some of the images. For example, the angel is judgment, Atlas is the world. Then they have the old man, which is the hermit, and so on and so forth. Is a little bit different, but nevertheless, pretty cool. I also find it to be really cool. This is what the back of the card looks like. So there's nothing on the back of the card. There are black and white, so there's not a lot of color in there. When it comes to size, they are thin and long, as you can see here. And so once again, you guys, that really special sort of cardstock, that that just gives you that old feeling, that cardstock that feels like it's made for artwork. And so you'll find that sort of cardstock here again. And these are some of the cards, you guys, as you can see. Beautiful, absolutely just Renaissance sort of looking, European and Italian sort of artwork that you're going to find with these decks. Most of them are peep decks, like I already mentioned, and like you've seen throughout the video. And this is no exception, right? You get that here again. And up here you get the Roman numerals for the card. And then that's it. You really don't get anything else. It's pretty much elegant, and it sort of just speaks for itself, you guys. Really, really a great deck. And what is really interesting about this deck is that you can also find it in color. So a lot of these decks, you guys, you're going to find that a lot of publishers have come out with these decks. And so you'll see that they are available through other publishing houses. You know, you just have to look around and you have to see. So if you want this deck, for example, you have to look around who has it, which publishing house is going to be the best for me. You know, here by Il Meneghello, they're not terribly expensive, but they do come from Italy. So dependent where you are located, shipping is going to be expensive unless you find it in your location. Sometimes they have stores where they will have these decks and then you'll find it locally. But, you know, obviously they had to also pay for shipping. So they're going to be expensive at the end of the day. But the decks themselves are not so expensive. And once again, this is a limited copy. And this gives you an idea of what this Tarocchino Bolognese looks like and feels like. This is the full. Really beautiful. This image always sort of shocks me when I see it, right? Because it is such a betrayal. This one here is sleeping. This one here is going to, yeah, it looks like he's going to hit him really hard with that hammer, and it's just such a betrayal card. Here's the death card. I love the simplicity of it. You know, I love how this is a death card that we've all seen throughout the years, right? And it's just so simple, and it just tells you exactly what it is. Death comes to all of us. There is the death holding that clock, that sand clock, telling us, you know, time is clicking. Sort of enjoy what it is and enjoy today, or try to live your life to the best, because time is passing and time is clicking. This is the Hermit from this particular deck. And so very, very beautiful, very elegant, black and white. It just tells you what it needs to tell you. I don't really do divination with this deck as well, because I find it to just be just beautiful for contemplation, you guys. And that is the Tarocchino Bolognese. And with that, you guys, I want to show you what deck number 5 is. Deck number 5 is by Il Menenghello. And it is the Tarocco Napoleonico, you guys. And it is called the Tarocco Napoleonico because it was created during the Napoleonic Kingdom of Italy from 1805 to 1814. This particular deck was created by Ferdinand Gumpenberg. It consists of 78 cards, and I have to say that I use this deck for divination. Hey, this is one that I do use for divination because I am familiar with the system of this deck. It has the 78 cards in it. This is the box. Once again, it's that Il Meneghello box that you are familiar with. At least if you weren't familiar with it, you're familiar with it now. And it comes again with that very special wax stamp here on the box. These are the cards, you guys. They are little cards. This is, of course, a numbered edition. I have copied 254 out of 1,000, you guys. And so this was created in Milano, Italy around 1809. And this one was created in Milano, Italy in 2023, you guys. So handmade. Once again, beautiful cardstock. This is what the back of the card looks like. So they are totally reversible. It's a peep deck, but I use it. I like to use this deck very much. Now I can tell you how this is to shuffle one of these decks. And so it is just wonderful to shuffle. This deck shuffles so well. I am very gentle with it, of course, because it is a numbered copy, but I do use it, and it feels really good on the hands, and it's just that cardstock that just feels old, but then at the same time robust, and it just works really, really well. It also does a pretty good spread, as you can see, and it just gives you that really old feeling. It gives you that feeling of, you know, these are old cards, although they are made in 2023. These are all drawings, and it just looks like it and feels like it, you guys. And so I'm going to show you some of the cards here. As you can see, this is the 5 of Wands. This is the 6 of Wands. This is the Ace of Wands. And very simple, tamed colors, really, really good printing on this deck. So you can't go wrong with Il Meneghello. This deck is actually not that expensive. A deck like this will run you about 45 euros because they do come from Italy, so they do sell them in euros. And so it just it's a classic. It's tamed. I find it very, very elegant. I find the size to be very, very practical. This is the Hermit, as you can see. The Star. It's a deck that I find it friendly enough that I can do divination with, and so I will take it out once in a while, and I will use it. And at the same time, not only will I do divination with it, but I'll also take a look at the drawings. I'll take a look at the coloring. I'll take a look at the figures. This is the Strength card. This is the Hierophant, or Il Papa. Here you have the 4 of Cups, and so on and so forth, you guys. Here's the King of Cups. So it is friendly enough that we can use it for divination, you guys. And that is deck number 5 by the lovely people of Il Meneghello in Milano, Italy, which they make absolutely beautiful decks. And let me show you what deck number 4 is. Tarot number 4 is the Tarocchi di Marsiglia, or the Marseille Tarot, you guys. This one was created in Hesse in 1750. It is composed of 78 cards. It was very popular in France in the 17th and 18th centuries for playing card games, and is still produced today and very much used today by all of us. This one in particular is reproduced by Giordano Berti. He is located in Italy, and he makes absolutely gorgeous decks, you guys. If you don't know Giordano Berti, he is with the Rinascimento Italian style art, and he makes these absolute gorgeous decks, you guys. This is once again a signed copy by Giordano Berti himself. This is copy number 385 out of 900. And this deck was created originally by Johann Christoph Hess, Augsburg, 1750. So there you have that little piece of information. Most of his decks come with a small book like this for referral, and so you can always look in there. That's what the box looks like, and they are not inexpensive decks, you guys. They do cost a bit of money, but if you ask me, at the end of the day, they are just totally worth it. Now, this is a deck that I also do divination with. These cards are totally robust. These cards are cards that you can really work with. This card stock is really good for today and for working today. If you're interested in doing readings with this deck, you can do it. The edges are round here, so for practicality, that really helps a lot. This is the back of the card, and they are reversible, as you can see, so they're really good for using. Size is pretty much standard size. Here I compare it to a low Scarabeo, and as you can see, they are pretty much standard size. And so this made it to number 4 because of all of that, because I can use this deck, because it is practical, because it is a Marseille deck that looks pretty old, but just is absolutely intriguing, beautiful, a lesson in history for tarot. So if you want to sort of, give that elegance to your readings and to your practice, then this is one of those decks that you absolutely must look into. I don't know if he's still making them because they are numbered copies, but you can look in the website. I don't think he has a store on Etsy, so you can go on Etsy and look, or you can go directly to his website, you guys. Before I forget, something that is really special about Giordano Berti is that he will send you a thank you note. He will write a thank you note, and he will send the deck with a thank you note dedicated to you. And I find that to be I find that a very special touch when somebody would do that, especially coming from Giordano. And I think it adds a lot of value to the deck. So when I take this deck out and I look at that note, and it just adds to the deck a lot. So these are what the cards look like. You can see that they look like they might be pretty old because the paper that he chose to use does look that way. And so the colors are very simple. It is your typical Marseille deck. I just really, really enjoy working with this deck. The cardstock is very user-friendly. The images are also images that I'm used to, at least. It is 78 cards, so it is a complete set. And it's just a deck that we can all relate to and we can all use. Of course, if you're familiar with the Marseille. This is the Ace of Swords. This is the Ace of Wands. Here we have the Four of Cups, and of course you know that the Marseille deck is a peep deck, and so you will see that the minor arcana have just the elements on it and nothing else. But really, really wonderful copy of the Marseille deck, you guys. This is one of my favorite decks. That's why it made it to number 4, because I can use it, because the paper stock is just perfect. I find it to be really old looking, and I think that when we do a reading with this deck, I think it really sort of impresses the seeker. You know, there's such a difference when we do a reading with a new deck or when we do a reading with a deck like this, right? They're both beautiful and they both have their own language, but doing a reading with a deck like this is really something special. And I think that when a seeker looks at these cards, and because they're not easy to interpret if you're not familiar with tarot, they're sort of impressed by it, and they sort of take the reading a little bit more on the serious side, if that makes any sense to you. But this is what I've noticed whenever I've used old decks, and people just look at them and they are very intrigued by them, you know, because they don't really see an image that they recognize, or they see these really old images and they start thinking about it. So this is the Tarocchi di Marsiglia, 1750, you guys. This deck was originally made, and of course it's been redone by Giordano Berti. And look at this hanged man, just really, really cool. And it is one of my favorite historical decks in my collection, you guys. And with that, I'd like to show you what deck number 3 is. Deck number 3 is by Il Meneghello, and it is Tarocco Soprafino. This deck is really a piece of artwork. All of them are obviously a piece of artwork, but this one in particular is so soothing, and it's not so old like the other ones. This deck was actually made in the 19th century in Italy, in Milan. And it was made by Ferdinando Gupenberg. He came from Munich to Italy and created this deck. It is, of course, by Il Meneghello, as I just mentioned. So it comes with that wax symbol here. The boxes, as you can see, all are sort of the same by Il Meneghello. It doesn't fall out of what they always make. So they're very consistent with that. This one is, of course, a numbered copy. I have a copy 506 out of 2000. And it is a deck that I also use a lot, you guys. This deck was created in Milan, Italy in 2022 by Il Meneghello. And as I just mentioned, I use this deck because it is a complete deck set. I am familiar with this system, so it is a deck that I use quite often, I must confess. They're little cards. Let me show you when we compare them to a Lo Scarabeo how little they are. And the artwork on these cards is really, really special. I know I've used this word a lot today, but they're very elegant. The colors are absolutely appropriate for this sort of card style and deck style. I'm showing you some of the cards right now. This is the Five of Cups. They're a little bit more friendly to use. Although the edges are not rounded, it doesn't really matter. They're small enough that they're not going to give you a problem. This is what the back of the card looks like, and they are totally reversible, as you can see. This cardstock is really nice. It is, once again, that sort of art paper. It gives you such an old feeling to it. Printing is really nice on this deck. This is the Five of Swords. This is the Three of Swords. Here you have the moon. The major arcana on this particular deck are absolutely gorgeous. You will see so much detail. They're very, very intriguing. And you see here the moon coming out. You see how they've sort of made it here stained a bit, like if they are really the real thing. And it really does look like it, you guys. This is the Hanged Man. This is the Cavalier de Bastone. This is the Ten of Cups. And you guys, shuffling this deck is such a pleasure. Really, you know, once in a while you'll get a falling card, which is perfect. This is the Strength card. But shuffling this deck is really a pleasure. And if you do a spread with this deck, look at that. It spreads really well. So not only do you get a historical deck here, but you also get a deck that you can work with today. And so that's why these decks are coming up as the top 3 or the top 4, because you can actually work with them. And so, you know, this is no exception, you guys. And so this is the Three of Cups. That is the Two of Wands. That is the Ten of Wands. That's the Nine of Cups. And look at these figures, right? Just really, really detailed, and they speak 1,000 words without really saying much. This is the Hermit, and I just really, really enjoy all of the details that you see here. I find that the artistry in this deck is really superb, and it just brings you back to that, you know, to that solid ground kind of, you know, this is tarot. This is how tarot progressed to what tarot is today. And you guys, let me show you what deck number 2 is. Tarot number 2 is Tarocchi Mitelli. And this one is by Giordano Berti again. And this deck was produced in Italy from 1660 to 1665, and this made it to number 2 because the images are just really, 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 I really must say, really beautiful. You will find that the Mitelli has been reproduced by many other houses or publishing houses. I personally went with the Giordano Berti version because it's the one that I like the most. I have a couple of other Mitelli versions, but this one is the one that at the end turned out to be my favorite. I do not use this deck for divination. Look, here it is, that letter again by Giordano, that thank you note. It comes also with a little description of the deck. This tarot has been faithfully reproduced by Renascimento Italy in a limited edition of 900 numbered copies signed by the editor. And so here I got copy 469 out of 900. I don't know if he's still making this deck, you guys, but I went ahead and I put it in this pouch because the cards were sort of loose on the box and I didn't want them to get damaged. So I put it on this pouch and it's been working out really, really well. Inside of the box, you're going to find advertising for Giordano Berti, and he sends you also a couple of sample cards so that you can see what else he has in store. And here's a catalog. I got this in 2022, so it's been a little bit it's been a little bit since I got this deck. Now, this is a deck that, I don't know if I just mentioned that or not, I don't use for divination. This is an incomplete copy of the Mitelli because not all of the cards were available at the time when they found it, and Giordano chose to just reproduce the cards that were there. You can find other Mitelli copies that will have the 78 cards in it. This one in particular is not complete. So I got it for studying, I got it for reflection, I got it because I love the colors and the artwork is just beautiful. So this particular version of the Mitelli is one that I really, really enjoy. And so the cards are sort of longer and thin. As you can see here, they are longer than what a Lo Scarabeo card would be. And paper is absolutely gorgeous. You here have the back of the card, and this is not reversible, as you can see, and I find it to be classic, and I find it to be the printing on this deck is gorgeous. The price on this deck was, or is, if he's still making this deck, pricey, but you know, just one of those decks that I'm so happy to have. Let me show you what these images look like. This is the 10 of Swords, and of course it is a peep deck. This is the 8 of Coins. This is the Wheel of Fortune, and the colors are so soothing. I really like the images a lot. I think that the reproduction of this particular Mitelli deck was very well done, very tastefully done, and I'm very much attracted to the colors and to the deck. I also like very much the frame that they have here. And so, like I said, you guys, you will find that the Mitelli deck is made or reproduced by many other publishing houses, but I kind of prefer this one. I showed you early the Il Meneghello version of this particular deck, and that one was black and white. This one is in color. That's why this one made it to the number 2, because I really, really enjoy these images. I enjoy almost everything about this deck, and I don't use it for divination because it is incomplete, as I mentioned before, but nevertheless, if you want to use it, or if you just want to have really a gorgeous deck on your hands, then this is definitely one that you can think of. Look at that Ace of Cups. Isn't that special, really? And look at that Ace of Wands. I also find it absolutely beautiful. And there is that card again, you guys. There is that betrayal card, you know, of this one sleeping here and this one is about to really do some damage. And so I find this card so intriguing and a perfect betrayal card. This is, of course, the 8 of Swords. This is the Prince of Cups. This is the Lover's card. Really pretty, you guys. Very, very pretty. That is the Mitelli by Giordano Berti. And really happy that I have this deck in my collection, obviously. And this is Justice, as you can see. This is the World. This is the King of Swords. And you guys, with that, let's go to deck number 1. Don't forget the surprise at the end. Deck number 1 is coming right up. Let me show you deck number 1. Deck number 1 is by Il Meneghello, and this is a Naiby tarot deck. And it is, of course, beautiful. I mean, it made it to number 1, really. This is not only a deck that is beautiful, but it's also a deck that I use, and I use often, you guys. It is complete. It has the 78 cards in it. The drawings are friendly enough. This deck was produced in 1893, and it was created by Giovanni Vecchetta. It was recreated in Turin, hand watercolored by Osvaldo Menegazzi in 2001, and it comes in this Il Menenghello box that you have seen in this video a couple of times already, more than a couple of times. There's that wax symbol there for Il Meneghello, and these are what is inside of this box, you guys. It is a numbered, and it's a numbered copy. I have the copy 1132 out of the 2000 that they produced, and I'm not sure if this deck is still in production, but I believe it is. I went into the Il Meneghello website not too long ago, and I remember seeing it. So if you're interested, maybe go in there and take a look. These are the cards, and they are pretty normal size. As you can see, they're maybe just a little bit thinner than a regular tarot card would be. And they are not rounded corners. I don't mind that. I still use this deck, although it has the square corners. This is what the back of the card looks like, so you can very much do reversals with this deck. And the drawings are really, really cool. Not only are they beautiful, but they're cool. And I find a lot of images to be so interesting and friendly to work with. And so I use this deck a lot. The size is really good for working. The cardstock is very robust. It has that old feeling to it. And if you want to shuffle this deck, this is one of my best decks for shuffling. I love shuffling this deck, and so I do use it, and I try to be very careful with it, of course. If you are looking to do a spread with this deck, it also spreads really well. And these are the cards, you guys. This is the Imperatrice. This is Judgment. And as you can see, colors are really cool. They really stand out. The images don't look so old, so they're a little bit more friendly. This is the Ace of Swords. This is the Ace of Coins. This is the Moon, and it sort of gives me a little bit of an Art Deco feeling when I look at it. It's like a 1930s sort of a feeling. And so this is the King of Cups, and he's cool. He's funny. So I think this deck made it to #1 because it is practical to use, because it is friendly to use, and because it is, if you can read peep decks, then this is just a perfect deck to do readings with. And it is really, on top of all of that, absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. So this is the Four of Wands. This is the Princess of Swords. This is the Princess of Cups. That is the Six of Coins, you guys. It's not very friendly with the RWS, but I think if you're more into the Marseille, you'll find it a bit easier to work with this deck. For me, it's not a problem. I use this deck, and I use it gladly. This is the Eight of Wands. He's the King of Coins, you guys. And look, he's there with his money, and it looks like he's starting up a bank or something like this, right? It's like, I'll loan you the money, but you'll have to pay me interest. This is the Two of Cups. This is the Eight of Coins. This is the Wheel of Fortune. This is the Hierophant. Here is the World, and as you can see, it's the picture that, or it's the image that they used for the cover of the box. And these covers are just this card pasted on the box. That's all it is. It is not, the color is not imprinted on the box, but it is just glued to the box, something that I find really, really cool. This is the 10 of Coins, and this is the 10 of Wands. This is the Lover's card. This is the Cavalier de Bastone. This is the Magician. This is the Ace of Wands. This is the Five of Swords. The Seven of Swords. The Nine of Cups, and there is the Queen of Swords. You guys, And it is just a beautiful deck. Number one deck on the list for historical decks. And I have to add, you guys, that this was really a hard list to make because there's still like 30 other historical decks that did not make it to the list because and I love them as well. So, but I needed to pick 10 of them, right? To show you 10 of them. So that's what I did, but was not easy to do this list because I still have so many other historical decks in the collection that just didn't make it to this list, unfortunately. But can you imagine if we did like a 30 or 40 list? I mean, that would, for me, take a long time. And, but maybe one time I'll show you all of the decks that I have. There is a video on the channel, from a way back. I think it's like a year old or a year and a half old, where I showed all of my Il Menenghello decks, but you can go in there and see that video. Of course, I've added more decks since that video to the collection, but you can look. Now comes that surprise that I have been waiting to show you, and I think you're going to find super, super interesting. So let me show you what this surprise is. This is a brand new deck that looks like it's super old. But it's not. And it is by Valentina De Luca. She just came out with this deck. She started this deck on Kickstarter. It is all hand painted. It took her years to create this deck. And I had to really beg her to send me a copy of this deck because I did not participate in the Kickstarter. And so she was saying to me that I needed to wait, but I kept insisting. And so I kind of make friends with Valentina already. So she's a very nice woman, and I ended up paying for the deck, and she sent it to me. And I am so glad that she did because this is absolutely gorgeous. This is the back of the box, you guys. And she's based in Italy, and this is the front of the box. Very robust box. This is a deck that you can use for divination, absolutely. And of course, this is a signed copy. I got copy 806 out of 1,000. I was so lucky. I really, really needed to pretty much really insist that she would send me a copy. And of course, I paid for it. And I'm so glad that I did. This is a gorgeous deck. These cards are bigger than your usual card, as you can see. So I really like that. You can see that the edges are not rounded, and I find that to be absolutely fine. These are 3 extra cards that she included in there. And so I've already picked, she has an extra moon card, she has an extra devil card, and she has an extra lovers card. And so my picks are already in the deck. So these are sort of just in the box in case I want to change it around sometime. But cardstock on this deck is, like I would think this is from Il Meneghello, or I would think that this is from Giordano Berti, because this is sort of the same cardstock. The back is beautiful. Look at this, and they are totally reversible. It's a peep deck, of course, but she hand drew this deck herself, and this is what came out, and it is just a piece of artwork what she did here, and I just couldn't pass on getting this deck. I needed to have this deck in my collection, and it has become one of my favorite decks. I included it in the historical part of the collection because it looks like a historical deck, but she actually just did this deck. I think it took her years to paint this, but she finally finished. And it just came out, and it's her own creation, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. There is already a full review of this deck on the channel, and you can look her up. She is actually on Instagram. You can just type Valentina De Luca and she'll come up. And I don't know what's going to happen once she runs out of this batch. I don't know if she's going to make more, or if it's actually going to go into mass production. I'm not sure, but I of course wanted to get the original version from her, and I'm so lucky that I got it. This is the 4 of Cups. This is the 10 of Swords. This is the Four of Swords. This is Justice, and it's a piece of artwork. Really, the colors are extremely soothing. It is Marseille oriented. This is El Juicio. This is the Magician. The Two of Wands. The Ace of Swords. Look at that, right? It just, you think, wow, was this done in like, I don't know, 1750 or something? No, it wasn't. It was done in less, it was done in the 2020s, you guys. So the Fanti di Bastoni. There's the Moon card. Look at that Moon card. Isn't that gorgeous? You guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to like the videos. It really does help. It really helps me continue making these videos, which I love making, by the way. I don't make any money out of this channel. I get some free decks sometimes, but other than that, I just do this because I love it. And so, and the reason I chose not to get paid is because I don't want to, I want to be able to do honest reviews, and I want to just tell you the decks that I really like, and sometimes I tell you the decks that I don't like so much. So, but on this video, you have seen some of my most beautiful historical decks. And like I said, it's been kind of hard because I have so many others, and it was kind of like I was feeling a little bit guilty because the other ones are so beautiful as well, and they just didn't make it to the list. But and you guys, this is sort of an added bonus to the video today. I know that this is not an old deck. This was just recently created by a very talented artist, Valentina De Luca from Italy, and I wanted to add this deck in the video because it's just sort of added bonus. If you are looking for an old looking deck, if you are looking for a deck that was just produced and done by a very talented artist today in 2025, this is one that you're just going to want to get. So